Hello there, I'm Tim and he's John, and this is How to Murder Time, a podcast about games and things.
Hello, everybody.
Watcher.
It's another week.
It is.
Yet another week has passed, and
Yeah.
one of us played games.
I didn't really get a lot done this week. Lots of real life stuff, busy. I played a bit of Rift and a bit of X Rebirth, but you've heard me banging on about that for about 3 weeks in a row now, so probably I'll just hand over to you.
Luckily, I've played 2 games.
Excellent.
I have played 2 of the most different games, but very, very similar games.
Okay.
I'm going to start by talking about The Order 1886.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that coming and going and disappearing sometime last year.
PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
I waited until it got to be cheap before buying it.
Earlier this year.
I didn't feel that it was worth the price of a full price release. So,
I heard a lot of bad things about it, to be honest.
It was very short and everything.
Well, that was the main bad thing I heard about it, yeah.
So, in this game, you are a underground order of people who are hidden in the world, and there are Templars.
This is starting to sound a bit
blah 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 blah.
sounding very familiar. Yeah, is it a historical mashup conspiracy thriller?
Well, you know how the latest Assassin's Creed is set in Victorian London.
Yes.
Yes, this is set in Victorian London.
Yes.
Only an alternate Victorian London, but it's steampunky.
Now I'm thinking the reason that it was so short and everyone complained that it was so short is that they heard that Assassin's Creed was next going to be in London and thought, hell, get it out, finish, stop coding, just ship it now.
No, I know exactly why it's short.
Right.
This is a game where you're basically...
Is it short, or is this all just like rumours and misinformation that
I haven't finished it yet. I have to make that very clear. I haven't finished it yet because I have issues with finishing it. But I will do, but yes, it is short. But it's a game where you are a guy with fantastic facial hair.
Okay, I approve already.
You have guns provided by Mr. Tesla. You are basically...
Does H.G. Wells made you a time machine?
Not
that's probably for the sequel then.
Yeah, probably. If it ever gets a sequel. And you basically run around and you shoot things.
Right.
Let's start with the gameplay.
Yes.
Where the actual game bit, where you actually are running around shooting people, is so Gears of War.
Okay.
It's
unexpected.
Yeah, it actually hurts. It wants to be Gears of War so badly.
Is it just a constant series of chest-high walls that you're crouched behind?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And you know when you throw the grenade thing, it looks almost identical.
Oh, you got the little arc on the screen. I do appreciate a grenade prediction arc, though, because I have a lot of trouble with grenades in games.
Yeah, it's like Gears of War, but... There's no physicality to it.
Gears of War always feels solid and heavy.
You're always rushing into stuff. The guns were big and beefy. In this, the guns
and your characters they don't turn on the spot either. It's like lumbering runs towards stuff and then cover, and that helped define Gears of War as almost its own subgenre of shooter, really. Where a lot of games with similar sorts of mechanics, but with characters that are much more sprightly. I suppose I'm thinking Halo and stuff. Where
it's
one hit
bouncing
kills and bouncing around and running a lot, and
it was you were big, you could suck up the damage, and you could also deal it out, and everything took a while to go down because only so many bullets are going to take down that much slab of meat stuff. But this doesn't have that. You're very lithe people with normal guns that aren't very impressive. They don't make big bangs, and somehow that whole cover-based shooter mechanic falls away and doesn't feel as good. Gears of War does something, and I'm not entirely sure what it is, that really, really works, and this doesn't. So it just feels like a cheap...
I think what Gears did was stop you being able to just circle strafe the enemy to death, with like crazy unrealistic footwork that you find in a lot of more live first-person shooters.
It deliberately slowed it down and turned it to be a lot more tactical.
Yes.
And this does the same.
You have to work out which cover point to use next and where to clear from and move up and so on, whereas a game where you're on your toes and just racing around, the chest-high walls start to get in the way, start to be an impediment. What you actually want in that situation is a massive wide arena that you can just keep circle strafing and kiting in.
It's why the chest-high walls worked in Mass Effect, for instance. But in this case...
Mass Effect had some similar sort of feel somewhat to... Certainly the first Mass Effect game felt somewhat similar to Gears rather than the
and
usual
towards the end
stuff.
it was feeling very much like Gears as well, because the first one felt a lot more... This is one step away from a turn-based combat.
Yes, yeah.
And by the end, it actually felt like it was being full Gears of War. But this game somehow just doesn't pull it off, and the combat doesn't feel satisfying.
Okay.
And I would say that would be a problem if, as this being a third-person shooter, combat was the point of the game. But this is a third-person shooter where combat is an aside.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, to be honest, I hadn't done enough research to really know much about what the actual day-to-day gameplay was.
The thing is, the combat in this is an aside because it's heavy on the plot, and it does most of its plots through interactive QuickTime events and slow walking and talking and stuff. And that. See, I got the.
So you're starting to find that's just quite disruptive to the flow of what's trying to be quite a fast-paced shooter.
There's not enough fighting, and there's an awful lot, or too much, of QuickTime events. I was doing really badly to start the tutorial level. Where you're escaping and you're walking really, really slow, which I really appreciated after that tutorial level in Metal Gear Solid, where you're crawling really, really slow, and you're feeling, oh God, just move faster. This is boring me. This is not interesting.
Is that a disguised loading screen?
No, I don't think it is, because it was taking ages to load as well.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I could understand that being a clever way to disguise loading in the next bit and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so you can create a
It's
pseudo-seamless event.
that usual tutorial thing where it'll get you to the bit where you've got to crouch here now. This is
jump
how you
over
fire.
this. Here's
now
a ladder.
You've got your gun. Let me just.
I'm fine with ladders, thanks. Actually, it's all right. I've seen a ladder before.
I hate to bring it back to Gears of War, but Gears of War has this fantastic bit at the first one. You get broken out of the prison, you suit up, and Dom asks you, do you want to go the long way, which is a tutorial, or do you just want to get on with it?
Yeah, which essentially is the I've played this before option,
Or I can figure this out as I'm going along, which I did the first time I played it, and I couldn't figure out what was going on with the active reloading until I had to look it up.
What's to figure out about Gears of War?
The active reloading.
The active reload. What's that progress bar? Oh, I'll just wait till it's finished then. Okay, right, now I can fire again. And
but that's not doing it right.
Yeah.
Because you're meant to be getting it in the right spot.
I know, but if you didn't know that's what was going on at all, you'd just assume that was some kind of loading bar and you'd ignore it.
Yeah, but then you could click it and it would go wrong. And but anyway. So it's one of those things where you'd be walking along, you'll get to a ladder, you've got to press circle to go down the ladder, then you press circle to jump off a thing. It's one of those, we're going to have button presses all the way because it's interactive. In a way, I don't like that.
Well, yeah.
It feels a bit David Cagey.
It's not terribly interactive, no. I mean, just being sort of just having the whole thing on rails and then just requiring the user to press a button every so often is not really what I call interactive.
Yeah. And that would probably be okay if the story was good, but the story is not gripping me.
Is it not like fantastic super goggles, cogs everywhere, steampunk, hooray, British Empire, hurrah type time?
Yeah, but okay, I
thought steampunk's brilliant.
That's the good thing about the game. The game looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
The art design on it is fantastic. The world design of London with its railways,
far too many cogs everywhere,
blimps and everything,
zeppelins.
Yes, it's just fantastically, brilliantly realised. It's detailed. There's more detail in this world than you need for the game. I was looking in a shop front. The open all hours type corner store, as was with the green and everything. And the amount of detail and art design that had gone into making that there was fantastic, and it was just staggeringly detailed, and everything was high-res textures, and it just looks gorgeous. And I want to wander around this world, but it keeps making me push buttons and occasionally shoot a thing.
I think this kind of thing is precisely why we need to spend more time reading the credits when we finish these games, because a studio is not a homogeneous entity. You've got people in there who do know what they're doing, and people who do other jobs in there who don't really know what they're doing. And it's useful to be able to put names rather than just say this. Who made this thing? What's the studio? What's the publisher? Oh, you. I need to fill while he looks at the disc.
I can't tell.
Oh well, it doesn't matter. The point being is that
Ready at Dawn Software.
Right. So probably there's some very good art people there, but the design and the writing people aren't quite so practiced.
It's incredibly hard. It's incredibly hard to say that. Game design is really tricky, and whether or not it was a case of it was going to be bigger and better, but. They ran out of time and money and had to scale it back a bit, or whether or not this was always the goal. But I do appreciate the fact they have spent an awful lot of money on making this world work. And it is a gorgeous, lovely world, and if it was a walking sim, I'd be a lot happier. But it's not an open world. It is a very linear, going down corridors type thing.
Yeah, so you can't just break off and explore.
So
that does allow you to make much more detail. If the player can only go certain places, those places can look great. But if you've got to do just 5 square miles of central London and just let them go where they want, that's going to mean that most of that 5 square miles is going to be quite low detail indeed.
It's the highest level of detail I've seen in-game environments and the most polished I think I've ever seen in a game. Yeah. Most of the games we get nowadays are going down that open world thing. So yeah, they're never going to be
Unity,
as good.
Bosch.
Yeah. I haven't
ship it.
Actually, SpeedTree is probably in this. I just haven't noticed it yet.
Yeah.
Has it got a copyright on the thing?
Well, that's one of the nice things about dense steampunk parallel London from the Victorian era. There's not a lot of wildlife and vegetation.
You'd be surprised. There's werewolves for a start.
Oh, God.
Not many werewolves.
Right.
I'll make that clear. It's a game which promises werewolves and then doesn't deliver
Massively
werewolves.
under-delivers on werewolves. That's terrible.
Yeah, and the release thing for it, when they announced it, promised this big fight against werewolves, and you thought, oh, this is brilliant. You're against the supernatural. And
Nothing
then
I look for more in a game than fighting werewolves.
Yeah, and then werewolves barely featured at all. So, yeah.
Rift has werewolves. Lots more than this thing, by the
Everything
sounds
has
of it.
werewolves.
Yeah.
So it's... I'm finding the game tedious. I was going through these tutorials, and I was failing QuickTime events because I was bored of waiting. You know... You know when it has that
slow time events.
Yeah, you know when it has that a minute's worth of stuff happening.
Yeah.
And
Start
then
the nod
there's
off
then a quick time event happens.
Start playing phone games.
And it's just a guy struggling and doing stuff. And I couldn't be asked.
It's my line. Is it
Yeah.
like yeah, because they want you to be part of a sort of interactive play, but they haven't given you a script or any cues.
No.
So you just have to sort of improv and try and pitch in when you think you can make a difference and help.
Yeah,
that's no way to do drama.
And when I really don't care about watching, say, a guy crawl across the floor reaching for a gun, for instance.
Any minute now. Any minute now. I have to press square. No, missed it. And that's like, go back to load a save game or restart the sequence.
You go back a very short amount,
Yeah.
but it turns out that amount you go back is just enough for me to get bored again and miss it for the second time.
Now let's have a frank self-assessment here. Is this a problem with your attention span, or is this a genuinely badly paced experience?
What was that? What was talking about?
Yeah,
No,
I know what you mean. Though. Yeah.
No,
Well, you sort of settle into one of two mental modes. You're either engaged and active, in which case the quick time event has to come within like a couple of minute or two tops.
Yeah,
minute even. You're sort of within seconds. You need to know that. And that needs to repeat. You need to keep being engaged. Otherwise, you set. Yeah, okay. In your case, you'd get bored and start playing phone games. But otherwise, you set back into this other sort of passive.
Tweeting.
You sort of settle into a passive observational mode, like when you're watching telly or watching a film. You settle back, you relax, and you start to take in the entire story. And that's fine. If you want that to happen, then you do your Metal Gear Solid 90-minute cutscene or whatever. But it's badly pacing. That starts to oh hell! I was supposed to be doing something here. I was just enjoying that.
I would love to actually, and by saying I would love to, I can't be asked to. But if I could be asked, I would love to go and look at all of these games and work out how long it is until you have to do
It would be interesting, yeah.
a prompt to see whether or not there's a number that people have worked out. Because I think this one is too far.
Well, I think what we're looking at is the question: is there a binary difference between a participant and a spectator, or is there some sort of gradated blending between? And if so, there's probably some sweet spots on that curve where it will work quite well. And it sounds like this is not one of them.
Yeah. I don't know, my mind just switches to that other mode, and then I'm not prepared for when it needs me to do
I've done my bit, I can watch this.
Yeah.
Oh, hell, damn, missed it.
I'm playing it. There's time. Or, in one case, I was checking something. I was probably moderating comments
painting
or
a
something.
house.
Oh, no, actually, no, I was weathering a TIE fighter.
You were actually painting models while the cutscene was playing. That sounds like a passive spectaty experience to me, yes.
Well,
they then want you to suddenly press a thing.
Well, see, I've got these water-soluble oil paints, which sound like an oxymoron, but they're fantastic for weathering without having the smell and the needing.
Where is this thing?
It's on the shelf over there.
Okay. Oh, I can't get it now, but yes.
Anyway,
modelling tips aside.
And I realised after a couple of minutes that the game had gone a bit quiet because the guy was reaching for something and wanted me to mash a button.
Oh, it stopped and waited until you pressed the button. That's not even a quick time event at all.
No,
that's just press X to continue.
Oh, it's got that, you have to press X to open the door and mash this if you're trying to do something that involves moving.
Oh, God, can we stop with the mashing? My thumbs don't move as fast as they did, and I never had the hang of it with an Xbox controller anyway.
No, I don't.
This isn't, Daley Thompson Decathlon now. We had that in the 80s, and that destroyed a number of home computers, but it wasn't particularly fun back then either.
No, it was never fun.
No.
So it's safe to say I'm having issues with this game.
This does sound like it. Yeah.
I'm going to finish it because it's not a game I'm going to have issues with for long.
Was this a PlayStation Plus thing, or did you actually buy it?
No, I bought it.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Because it got below £20. So I thought, why not?
So you have a higher threshold than me. When it turns up for £2.49 on Steam for the PC, I might have a look. But
I was actually expecting it to be announced to be on the PlayStation Plus this month.
But as we talked about previously,
Yeah.
they seem to be dropping the ball on that quite a lot.
Oh, have you seen this month's?
No, what is it?
It's Magicka 2 and Walking Dead Season 2.
Both good games, I guess, but
Yeah,
that doesn't justify an entire month's worth of a monthly subscription.
Also,
no.
again, it's a
Not
PC
just
game
buy
that I
those-
played years ago.
Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah. And if you don't care about Walking Dead, which I don't, because
Or you don't care about Magicka. I mean, Magicka's quite good for everything I've heard. I've never played it.
I've not given it enough time. I'm going to.
It's not a
now,
vast AAA thing, though. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Actually, Walking Dead will feed in nicely to the other game I've been playing, but let's finish up on The Order first.
Yeah.
So, apart from... I'm going to enjoy playing through the world, and I know that I'll get that much enjoyment out of it.
And I bet you'll never play it again.
Yeah, but on an emotional level...
Yeah.
Oh, no, I will play it again, because there's going to be some footage I decided I need to get in the future for something.
Research.
Yeah.
There'll be some achievements or some hiddens that you've missed. Are there hiddens to find?
I don't know. I haven't seen any of the probably.
Oh, right.
And
Probably
I
not.
don't care about trophies. God, I don't care about trophies anymore. Trophies are a mugs game.
Right. Well, who are you and where's John?
Well, it's because of the leveling system and the number you need to go to. So, anyway.
Yeah,
but on an emotional level, this game has not engaged me one iota.
You don't care about the characters.
Yeah.
You don't hate the villain
No,
particularly.
I don't give a toss about
It's all
anything.
just sort of unfolding in front of you, and you're just looking at it going, huh.
I quite like being in Steampunk London, but
Steampunk London is
but it's
good,
not
but
enough.
it's not enough to sell a game.
It can be enough. Remember Me, a game which also will come up to discussion later, is a game which, the combat wasn't great.
I quite liked it, but it was quite...
There are better examples.
Yes. I don't play many beat-em-ups.
It had
so,
some cute ideas in it, and that was nice. But
The memory rewriting thing was really underused.
Yeah, but the world you were in...
Oh, yeah, the sort
you
of
would play
cyberpunk...
that game for that world.
That cyberpunk Neo-Paris was amazing. Yeah,
but in this
really
case,
well done.
it's all nice, but there's just none of that emotional... It hasn't done... Like, you Remember Me, that bit where you come around the corner and the Eiffel Tower's there, of course.
There was some really good dialogue, I thought, and cutscene writing in Remember Me. The character of Nilin, you really sort of got behind her. You wanted to find out what was going on. You wanted to help her put it all right. But
but in this...
no one there grabbing you, really. Just a whole bunch of lamb chop sideburns and guns.
It's a bunch of cliches, and it starts with flashback bollocks thing.
Oh,
and,
God, tired of that as well. Yeah.
This is going to end badly.
Yeah.
But odds are you're probably going to...
No, that's a very specific game writing technique that seems to be coming up more and more.
Yeah.
Remember Prototype? I think that's probably one of the hugest examples I saw of this. It was basically where from the very first seconds you start the game, you turn up and it's all you with your absolute maximum powers and all your abilities, and you've got no idea.
First Assassin's Creed did it.
And you've got no idea how to do any of it or what's going on. It's just bonkers overload set piece visual overstimulus, and then after about sort of 10 minutes of that, something will happen. Either it will turn out to be, then either we'll go back to flashbacks, or you'll get all your powers stripped from you for some reason or another, and
busted down to private,
and then you start with the pistol and the how to climb a ladder stuff.
Which this does that, but it doesn't do that.
I get irritated with
it. It just has to go back in time bit, but it doesn't have that whole you've had anything taken away because you've got nothing on that first bit. You're crawling on the floor being boring. You end up with a gun with no bullets.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. I just don't like that because, in a way, it's really spoilerific. You think, they've thrown everything that you're going to be at the first 5 minutes, clearly so that the reviewer who gets hold of his review copy and only has half an hour to play it and then write a big old review that can, doom it to a sub-80 Metacritic.
I would just point out that never ever happens in game reviews, and no game reviewer has ever skimped at all.
No, not at all. I'm sure, but yes, but besides that is what happens, and they. Yeah, you've got nothing to look forward to now because you've seen it all. You've played your character at its utmost power. There's now you've got to sort of trudgingly build back to that to carry on with the main end.
And also they're always in some kind of peril in that bit if it's a flashback thing
mega
or flash
boss
forward
or whatever.
Thing. So you know exactly where the story's going to be aiming for, and none of them ever manages to make it interesting
and
enough.
I find that really disorienting as well, perhaps deliberately so. I mean, perhaps that's what they're trying to achieve, if so well done, but I don't like it. It doesn't make me want to approve of the whole thing. You sort of because you've got all the stuff, no idea how to use any of it. You're not in control of your character, basically. You just about know forwards, backwards, left and right as transferable skills from other games, but apart from that you're just left floundering for the sake of doing presenting like 15 minutes of really over-the-top promotional video at you, just for the benefit of reviewers, which I think is just really cynical. So there you go. But, so this doesn't do that. But
we'll just say maybe the game gets better when I play more than 30 minutes of it.
Well, yeah.
Actually, I have played more than 30 minutes with it.
Well, for a game that is reputedly so short, I'm surprised you haven't finished it.
No,
you're having troubles with this yeah?
The two reasons are, one, I'm finding the game quite tedious, which it's a fairly minor problem on the grand scheme of ever completing a game. You actually cannot get on with the gameplay. Minor snag it.
Yeah.
And the other problem is I'm playing a much better game at the moment.
Well, that's always going to be the problem, isn't it? And I don't know if that's something that a developer can do anything about. You've got no idea what else is coming out at the same time as your game that you're going to try and grab eyeballs from. You just have to try and make the best game you can and hope for the best.
I actually went into it really hopefully because I knew I was going to be playing one game this week.
Yeah.
Because it finished its episodes this week, so I knew I was going to spend the weekend playing that. But I also knew I needed a second game to talk about. So I got the copy of The Order, which I had deliberately got thinking this will be a brilliant filler game because I'm going to play it and really have a bit of fun and fill it in a couple of days, and I'll be happy for playing it.
I wonder if playing games specifically so you got something to talk about here is a substantially different experience to playing a game you were going to play for enjoyment anyway.
Oh no, I would have played it anyway. it was a nice. I tend to have smaller games which I slot in. Just so I'm not just playing the same.
Well, I'm not
game.
having a passive-aggressive go or anything. This is something that's been sort of worrying me lately because I find myself... I'm an MMO player. I play a lot of massively multiplayer online role-playing games, and you need a certain kind of mindset there. Please don't use the word addiction. To be able to appreciate those for the long-haul games that they are. Dependency. That's a more nicer word. Yes, we'll go with that. But
crippling dependency.
Shut up. But if you like playing MMOs, then you are by definition and necessity going to be the sort of person who is quite happy to play the same game for months at a time, if not even years. I mean, my first MMO, I spent about 2 years playing that.
And got to level 3.
Got to level 29 out of 50. That's how bad I am. Yeah, but that's an underachiever thing. That's different. But so
that's you getting completely sidetracked from any kind of content.
I know.
Finding your own.
Getting bored, going off over the next hillside. But you play these games for a really long time, and that develops habits, that develops ways of playing. And also, I tend to go for massive sort of open world games when I'm not playing MMOs as well. So the two games I'm playing, I talked about last week, X Rebirth and Rift. They're both the sorts of games you just can't really bash out in like 3 sessions over sort of 10 hours. You'll just play them and play them, and essentially you define for yourself when you've gotten bored, because it's absolute death in an MMO if you can't keep your end game players still playing. You stack up those dailies, you make the token grind for the very best gear really, really, really long, because if the people who really invest in your game, the high end power players, if they've run out of things to do, they're going to disappear and your game will die. Yes. That's the whole MMO, and that doesn't change with free to play at all. I mean, free to play is just a different way of, the money's loaded differently on different people, but ultimately you still need an interested player base, and you have to keep them interested for a very long time. So what that does for me is that I end up sort of buying a game, very rarely, and then playing it for 8 months. Yes, which means that it's a bit tricky to come up with interesting things to say every week on the show. So I'm just going to heckle you instead.
I, on the other hand,
have a shorter attention span.
Currently have 414 games in my Steam library, and that's not everything.
But you say part of why you were playing The Order is that you wanted something to talk about on the show?
Oh no, it was part of the reason why I started it, not the reason why I was playing it.
Yeah.
I chose that moment to start it because it would be something to talk about. But which actually works for me because it forces me to play games I may never get around to. Because this thing has been sitting on my shelf for a couple of months.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, no, I thoroughly approve of using the things you've bought.
Yeah,
all these Steam piles of shame. They're terrible. It's a terrible thing.
Although, to be honest, I did buy it and decided I would wait until it came down in price because I knew it'd be interesting to talk about.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but then again, I don't regret that because I'm loving the London. So yeah, but unfortunately,
I'm looking forward to actually watching the video of this show because normally I don't bother. Yeah. I listen to the podcast audio version usually to just check the quality control of it all. Of course,
you should check the video because I
bet you put all sorts of crap
comical
in there.
captions.
Yeah, exactly. Mocking me, knowing I won't bother looking.
I did put a caption in the other week. I had to put a caption in to apologise for the fact that I'd recorded the footage of me playing Forza after I got back from the pub.
Fair enough.
It was not my finest hour,
No.
but I think it was more interesting than me driving perfectly.
But yes, I've not actually seen this amazing steampunk London that you say they've conjured up so well, and I want to have a look.
Yeah,
But I'm not. But from what you're saying, it sounds like I'd be happy enough just to watch our video footage of it and not actually buy the game. So that's a bit of a failure.
That's one of the things. It's a game where you could very much
just
watch the playthroughs
Yes.
on YouTube,
because
and
it sounds like it's quite a linear story, and
Yeah.
yet at the same time quite story heavy.
Yeah.
So a lot of it, you'd get a lot out of just watching someone else play it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Once anyway.
Yeah, possibly more than you would get out from actually playing it.
Because you won't miss the cues or anything. You could actually sit back and relax and watch it as a film.
Yeah.
And perhaps it works well that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's an interesting question. I should possibly have done that instead.
It's going to save yourselves a few quid.
Oh no, hang on, idiot! We're YouTubers. We should have done that. We should have put the video out
Oh, missed
on day
opportunity.
one. Yeah,
You're never going to get the Ferrari at this rate.
no one's getting the Ferrari.
No.
No, everyone's having to launch Patreons.
Oh, it's all like YouTube Reds and things.
Yeah, they're all screwed. They're making their money.
I'm not even going anywhere near
It's
that.
fantastic. I don't mean that in a bad way, but I just think that the ad model's subscription-based thing better than ad model-based thing, and yeah.
I wouldn't pay to watch our videos.
And just a
Mugs
reminder,
game.
if you want to find our Patreon, we don't have one.
Anyway, so the order.
I would feel really guilty about
Should we-
charging for this.
Should we talk about the game you were talking
No,
about?
I wouldn't do my guilt about feeling about the quality of our content and how much it's worth.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I've never watched any other videos, so I don't know. They're probably quite good.
No, I've watched them. Yeah.
Do write in and tell me what they're like, dear listener. And I do say, dear listener. See, I've never got that. I never got into the mindset of this whole YouTube thing at all.
No.
For me, it's always been a podcast.
Well, it's the thing.
It's always been the audio.
You don't actually watch YouTube videos, which
No,
is
not
your
really.
biggest problem. Yeah.
No, if I've got that kind of spare time, I'd rather just be playing a game of my own, you know? That's the thing. I don't watch telly much either.
No. You just play MMOs all day.
Anyway,
Yes. Where were we?
talking about the order.
Oh yeah, we were, weren't we? Yes, I think I'm running out of things to say
You
about
better
the
sum
order.
up then. How do you feel on a scale of A to 15?
I feel that it is a perfect example of that B-list games. You know, the smaller,
also-rans.
the also-rans
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we used to get and were fantastic. You'd always find some gem or something interesting.
Yeah, because we were talking about this a while back, weren't we? And we'd reached the conclusion that the current way that game development is now is the whole B studio stuff has just been squeezed out of existence.
Yeah.
It's all massive AAA.
Yeah, and now we're waiting for the
it's
indies
Kickstarter
to
indie
come
stuff.
back up
Yeah.
to that level, and they're getting there. I mean, you look at someone like Mike Bethel, and the size of his teams are getting.
So
there.
we're seeing
They're
that
getting
middle
there.
ground re-establishing again, being
Yeah.
repopulated, because what caused it to go away? Was it just terrifying economic conditions, credit crunch, all that, studios going out of
the cost
business?
of making big games and the inability to make smaller games. And I always had this theory that it's
And to get them on the shelf.
fact that when the Xbox came out and the rise of the shooters at that point,
Yeah.
where everything became either a first or third person shooter.
Yes,
And
yeah,
all of the-
there was a good couple of years where an RTS was quite a rare thing.
Yeah, and it still is on consoles. And the stuff, the weird, kooky little games, which are fantastic. The Parappa the Rappers of this world. I only say that to say hi, Mal. They just don't get made, although there's a new one coming out, so they do get made now.
The
but-
indie stuff sort of bringing it back, I suppose.
Yeah.
And the kick funding and what have you.
Well,
the alternate ways to get the thing built.
It's a world where the burnouts and the Project Gotham racings went away and were replaced by this boringness of Need for Speed and just nothings.
Homogeneous
Yeah.
globalization of it all, I suppose.
You can't make an artistic statement with a game
It says
at that
to-
level
that
without being
suggests-
incredibly good as a studio.
Well, that suggests that we're sort of coming out of a period where just development as a whole was extremely risk averse. It was
Yeah.
always follow the leader because
Yeah.
we'll lose all our money otherwise.
and when you're
go out of
paying out
business.
100 million to make a game or whatever,
Yeah.
80 million or whatever,
you have to make sure the
yeah.
formula works, and the best way to do that is to do one that's already been successful, I
Yeah,
suppose.
but
The Me Too,
with someone who's got a free copy of Unreal or Unity and is just blatting stuff out,
yeah,
you can do fantastic things.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
is why I think the games industry is in a much healthier place
It
now than
reminds
it
me of the
has
old
been.
Spectrum days, the old Darling Brothers, Codemasters, all that.
Or as we like to call it, the What do you mean there was a video game crash we didn't notice?
Well, yeah, very literally, the back bedroom programming thing, a bloke just doing it as a hobby manages to get the attention of a publisher, and then a whole bunch of C90s would appear in boots, and that was the games industry. And that seemed to work well enough, and there was a huge amount of titles. They're all quite derivative and quite similar to each other. But
okay, there's a perfect example of that at the moment, because back in the day, back in the 90s, when Micro Machines was the thing,
yes,
Codemasters
I
did
remember that.
went away because it wasn't mainstream enough. It was a bit too kooky, and now it's coming back.
That's good.
We're
getting a lot of second generation spiritual successors of those old games that are turning up these days.
Yeah,
now, which is good, I think.
Spiritual successor to Burnout coming.
Yeah, that'd be good. I miss that. I mean, Burnout Paradise was all right, but
I'm still playing
I've
Burnout Paradise.
never been interested in Need for Speeds and whatever.
I've been recording lots of videos.
Proper
on
crash
Paradise.
junctions. That's what I demand.
Yes.
And I want them now.
Yeah, that's the only problem with Burnout Paradise.
Yeah. Well, that Showtime mode, that was nuts.
That was
Well, you just push the bumper and then roll the car until you get bored. Yeah, no
boring. That was basically just a hunt for buses.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes.
So the order, would you recommend people buy it or not?
Nah.
Meh. Oh, okay.
No, it's not really. It's not enough.
We recommend watching a playthrough on YouTube.
There's certainly not enough about it that could have meant I talked about it for 30 minutes.
No. Okay, that's good.
Wow.
So, right, I'm going to talk about, I was going to talk about my crushing ennui that I find myself struggling under in a very first world problems manner. But I think I might just pass back to you.
Okay, I'm going to talk about Life is Strange.
Yes.
I've been waiting to play this game for months because I was going to wait for all 5 episodes to be out.
Okay. So this was I found this quite surprising. So Remember Me comes along. It got quite indifferent and mixed reviews. A lot of people found it quite
reviewers
linear.
hated it.
Yeah, they found it quite
reviewers were wrong.
Unsatisfying.
And in fact, I was listening to one guy who reviewed it say that the reason, this was Matt Lees, he said that the reason he thinks that his review wasn't very positive of it because he was reviewing it in a review environment, so it was a job of playing it and talking about it, and that's never a good way to experience any game which takes a little while to get into.
Yeah, but is anyone interested in reviews 3 months after the fact? Basically what we do.
Yeah,
we can't. I have the 3 month rule, and I apply that to pretty much everything these days. And then even so, when 3 months has expired after a new game has come out, I will then wait for a £2.49 sale of a game after that as well. So it could be like 8 to 15 months before I get to play a thing, and then I'll talk about it here. And I don't know if anyone at that point needs to know anything about the thing at then.
Oh, yes, they do.
Because they've all read the day one reviews that have been shilled or whatever.
That's because the thing about that is nobody reads reviews anymore. Reviews are bollocks and rubbish, and no one cares about them.
I think they're a dead thing.
Because they see people playing it on YouTube and that sells the game way better, or they hear somebody talking about it 6 months later and think, oh, I missed that. Which
effectively is word of mouth recommendation by a friend. Even if you don't personally know the YouTuber, they're someone whose tastes you've synchronised with.
It's how you're meant to find a film reviewer that you like. You find someone whose tastes align with yours, and you go by what they say.
Hopefully, somebody listening to this has tastes like ours.
Wow.
Otherwise, it's just morbid curiosity.
Yeah. But the other thing is, by talking about games later,
that's all the patches are in, all the reworks.
Yeah, the games are finished and working.
They are finished and working. Yeah, maybe at this. By the time we get to talk about it, it'll be a Game of the Year edition with all the nasty stripped out DLC back in place.
The other game I was going to talk about this week is the new Batman, which finally went back on release this week and still a buggy nightmare. So I'm not.
God, I heard all sorts of terrible things about that. Yeah,
but anyway, yes. I think talking about games much later is good because you also got that reminiscing of what it was like when you played it before, and it might encourage you to go back and play it again or have a think about it. Actually, no, that was a good experience.
Yeah, maybe.
So I think there is there is worth in us doing this.
Fair enough.
So yeah.
Well, I just do it to get out of the house. To be honest, I don't really see people otherwise.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, Life is Strange.
Life is strange.
Episodic. It's effectively a point-and-click adventure. Specifically, it's effectively Day of the Tentacle.
I was watching you play some of that as we came in, and that was something that did. Yeah. I thought, okay, the way you need to solve this problem is to go back to the Neolithic period, drop the thing in the lava, and then go back to the future or whatever. Pick up Gray's Sports Almanac. It's a lot of time travel shenanigans.
Yeah, it's a 3D world which you're walking around in. Interacting in much the same way of The Order. You push a button to open doors and it's very interactively, but it doesn't matter as much in this one.
Okay.
And you have this special superpower, which is you can rewind time. So if you do something wrong in a conversation...
See, now I'm thinking Prince of Persia.
Yeah, you can rewind time and have that conversation again and get it right.
Okay.
Or you can learn something in that conversation.
Can you load and save games in this game as well? Or is it checkpoints?
It's checkpoints.
Because effectively what they've then done is written in context the ability to load and save games into the character's world as an ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it goes far better than just that.
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff they do with it is fantastic. So basically, you get bits where you unlock more of a conversation by repeating the conversation, or taking a bit of that conversation, go to talk to someone else, come back, have that original conversation again, but with this extra information in there.
Very much like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
What Bill Murray's character does in there, which is essentially have the same conversation with the same person for about 50 or 60 times, and each time learn a little bit more and can start that conversation from a bit further
I hadn't made that connection, but yes, it is very Groundhog Day.
Very much like the way he learns the piano, sort of over a series of repeated days.
Are you sure this is your first lesson?
Exactly. I was just brushing up now, yeah. So that has the potential to be really clever or really, really confusing.
Yeah, and luckily it is really, really clever. Also that you have bits where you have to manipulate the world. When you rewind time, you don't move from where you ended up at. So if you walk across a room and rewind time, you'll still be at the end of the room.
Because if you went back with it as well,
there'd be no bloody point.
There'd be no point. No one would remember, including yourself, that you had rewound time. We could all be doing it all the time and not know. That's definitely a plot for a Doctor Who. Probably coming up, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it is actually.
It turns out we're all time travellers.
So there's a bit quite near at the start where you're walking up a hill, lightning goes off, a tree crashes down.
Okay.
And you know that tree's going to crash down because it always comes at the same time because time is fixed.
Yeah.
So what you do then is you wait for it comes down, rewind time so it goes up again, walk past it.
Okay.
And,
right. That's quite a trivial example, but presumably there are a lot more earth-shattering uses of the
nothing
the
too big,
bit.
But it's just low-level use of that ability to fix things. Like there's a bit where you're trying to stop somebody finding their car keys.
Okay.
And so the first thing you do is you pick up the car keys.
Yeah.
And you may keep them on you because you know that, or you may put them in the bin or something so it can't be found.
Okay.
And then it turns out the guy's got a beeper for it to find the car keys. So then you have to deal with that. And you end up replaying this cycle of needing to find the car keys, finding the car keys a couple of times till you get to the point where you get past it. And it doesn't, with Remember Me, memory remixing felt tortured.
It was very mini game and it was very clever, but I think the problem with it was that it could only accommodate because essentially what you a person you were attacking with the glove thing, you go into their memories and you can go back and change particular individual events, and that sort of basically branched off how the memory then, because apparently the blurb was that the mind then reshuffles the memory and makes it make internal consistency to stop you getting mad.
And you would do things like make somebody your friend instead of your enemy, or convince somebody that their daughter was...
Or put a gun within reach of a mental patient instead of out of reach of a mental patient. And it was just simple binary flick switches throughout these memories. But for every one of those, you then have to do all the rest of the ones that followed afterwards as branching. And I imagine that can get out of control very quickly, particularly if it's a sort of massive pre-rendered cutscene type thing.
But the way this works, because it's a 3D adventure game, you're just moving items around. So all of those mechanics are fine. But
each of them doesn't feed into the ones downstream of time that you are then moving as well.
To a certain extent they do, but not
that's what I mean. That's when the branching is going to go crazy and out of control.
It is one of those games, much like a Walking Dead game or whatever, where your decisions do make things. If you save someone's life, they'll be around, or if they die, they'll be dead.
I can see the fascination of exploring all the different branches that become possible with
and you have to be very, very disciplined. The advice I was given by a couple of people actually was do not rewind.
What, just play it through?
Yeah, play it through. Only rewind where you have to solve puzzles. Yeah. But let the story go. Do not second guess yourself and try and fix every single problem.
Oh, because as soon as you're aware that you have the ability to do this and that this is what can happen, you
can spend ages in a conversation.
You find yourself utterly just rewinding everything every time, all the time.
Yeah.
Just panicking and trying to get the very best possible outcome.
I'm going to have a second playthrough of this where I try and do the perfect one.
It sounds very good for repeatability, which is not often something you see in an adventure game, no.
But the joy about this is there are moments where when you're doing that with the not rewinding and thinking, I really want to rewind this. I don't like where these characters are now. I don't like
I was
the
watching
fact
some
I
of
did
it.
not save this person's life.
There was it felt a bit soap opera-y to me. There was all sorts of characters having all sorts of histrionic arguments and
That's
stuff.
the thing. It's a bunch of 18-year-old girls at school. So it's going to be.
And I just felt that the whole environment wasn't that pleasant. There was people shouting at each other and stuff. And then, so you got a whole load of not very sympathetic characters being quite unpleasant to each other from the section I saw. Perhaps that's not representative, and then overlaid that is this implicit sense of responsibility that you're the one with the time rewind superpower, and it's up to you to try and fix it and make everything better and everyone nice and stuff. And I just felt like it's such a lot of work piling up.
Yeah,
there.
You don't have to do most of it.
I just felt quite put off of the game because of it, really.
You don't have. It's all optional. There's people along the way where you can make their lives better, or you can just ignore them.
Yeah, but I do all the character loyalty quests in all these games. I get this stuff gets to me. I'd want to make it better for everyone.
The other thing,
and it probably isn't compatible.
Sometimes meddling does not make things better.
No,
There's
exactly.
a big point of the plot in that where you try and fix this thing.
I would try and fix everything.
You try and help somebody and make their life immeasurably better.
Yeah. And
you don't.
You've no idea what's going to happen anyway.
You make their lives immeasurably worse and give them a choice which they can't then make. You can't give them the choice because it is a hideous choice.
See, then you keep going back again and again and again and again, just keep trying to fix everything. And oh no, now this goes wrong. Oh no, now I need to do that. Yeah, it's a popular sort of story theme in any sort of time travel adventure. Is the idea that you can't fix everything, even if you try. The whole sort of.
And this does it reasonably well, and I'm really enjoying it. And I mentioned the lack of emotion with the Order.
Yeah.
Between the episodes and this, I am having to stop playing.
Wow.
And actually let it settle into what's gone on and try and get a bit of emotional energy
think
back.
about what you just did.
Yeah.
Wow, blimey.
Like the people who die, or the people who die because of what you do, the people you kill.
I can see
the
how that could
people
get
that
to
you fail to save, which are the hardest ones.
Yeah.
There's at one point where it's quite famously talked about. You're trying to talk somebody out of a suicide,
right?
And I failed, and that made me feel really, really shitty.
Wow, yeah, I'd be rewinding for that.
And I know I can do it. And the worst thing, it tells you at the end of each episode how many percentage of people have done it, and 66% of people had done it, and what did I do wrong?
Oh, what? So it gathers metrics from your playthrough and keeps them all on a server somewhere and just shows anonymised percentages of it all.
Why hadn't I saved her? What had I done wrong? Where is it me?
Well, obviously, you'd draw from that the conclusion that you were in the 33% of the population who need to be watched quite carefully.
I know.
Yes.
But, and it should be making me say this game sucks and I hate it, but I love it.
It's really clever, certainly.
And it's just fantastic. And the writing's a little clunky, the acting's a little clunky. Hella is said a lot, which is unforgivable. But... yeah, it is a fantastic experience, and emotionally, it is one of the most emotionally engaging games I've played.
Okay.
It is something of a masterpiece.
I'll have to add it to the list, but I am quite a fragile, delicate flower, so I'm not sure how well this is going to go down with me, but yeah, well, we'll see. We'll try it.
Yeah. There's 5 episodes.
Yeah, the episodic thing. Are they done now? Can
yeah,
you just
they
do
finished
the
on
box
Thursday,
set
which
binge?
is why I decided to play it, because I didn't want to be waiting months between these.
Yes.
And I'm feeling very justified in that choice at the moment.
I think you're supposed to absorb this a month at a time, an episode at a time, just so you can calm down again afterwards. Doing them back to back. Yeah.
I'm not sure I would be prepared for just waking up one day and finding out the next part had been released and thinking, I should play that now, and not having any run-up.
Yeah. Reminds me of the Battlestar Galactica reboot series, 2003 mini. There was a mini-series pilot type thing beforehand, and I only ever encountered that as a single DVD, and they hadn't put any kind of credits or breaks or anything in it, and so I was about 90 minutes in before I realised it was just one big feature film thing that was 4 hours long.
There's 3 versions of it. There's the hour versions, there's the 2-hour versions, and there's the goddamn 4-hour version.
Yeah, so I watched the whole 4 hours in like one sitting, and even despite that, it's still written and structured in such a way that there are really harsh cliffhangers every 40 minutes or so. And by the end of that 4 hours, I was feeling quite ragged, to be honest, and just staring bleakly at the screen, wondering about the future of humanity and Cylons and everything.
Yeah. And then they followed that up with 33, which is one of the most harrowing episodes ever.
Yeah, but at least you had a year before that came out. But I worry that doing this in one go as a box set binge, is that not going to just totally destroy you because of all these cliffhangers that
I'm
keep
not
building
quite
up?
dead yet.
Okay, fair enough.
I may never love again. I may have burnt out that section of my brain.
Everything ends in death. Right, good.
And I think I may be developing a real opinion on the irresponsibility of Doctor Who.
2 thumbs up would cry again, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Doctor Who doesn't think any of this through.
Well, yeah, that's why he is the way he is. Probably he's played this kind of thing throughout his time and just dead inside.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually a gorgeous looking game as well.
It looks all right. I don't know.
I don't know. I love the art style.
Was that stylised?
Yeah.
Okay. I just thought that was a bit low poly and a bit texture flat.
No, it is a bit low poly and a bit flat textures and a bit painted, but it's meant to be that way.
No, if that was a conscious decision, that's fine.
Yeah, no, it looks good.
I just thought you were playing it in really low detail settings because of, frame rate or something.
Wow. How bad would that coding have to be? It looks great and it all fits together well. And I think if it looked better, if you
try the Uncanny Valley trap,
if you had the Beyond Two Souls style face mapping off real actors, I think that really wouldn't have helped.
Well, I don't know if the characters seemed expressive enough. I mean, the lip syncing wasn't.
No, the lip syncing was terrible. But then
that because it was lip synced for the original? These chaps are French, aren't they? Was that a lip sync for the original French, maybe? I don't know, but anyway, it doesn't matter. No, it didn't seem to detract.
But it's in many languages anyway, so you're always going to have that problem. But it didn't matter, and I really like it, and the design. I
just think that
the world
ultra realism facial expression for conveyance of emotion in stories is always a real big risk, and often it goes wrong. Things like
really hard to do.
LA Noire and that kind of thing. Where they go just ultra detailed, and you're supposed to actually not just appreciate that this is a well-detailed human being, but also you're supposed to actually identify and read facial expressions as part of the context.
I think possibly the best one ever to do this is Beyond Two Souls, which is fantastic facial work. But again, the directing and the writing let it down massively, and it still feels very, very not quite right.
Yeah.
And actually...
So you sort of make a deliberate decision not to try and chase that, because odds are you're not going to succeed anyway. It's a very difficult thing.
And also, because you're not dealing with the AAA big expensive thing, you're thinking, right, let's make this a bit cheaper.
Yes.
And it works. Pick a art style, go for it. You can still look great and not worry.
It seems to do the job, yeah.
Yeah, so it is very easy to go carried away, and I think that they managed to not do that. And so, I really like this game, and it's fantastic.
Cool.
And I think everyone should play it.
Right. Except me. I think
I think even
hide.
Even you should play it.
Fair enough.
Each episode takes about 2 hours to play, and there's 5 episodes.
That's quite meaty.
Yeah.
And how much were they selling for originally, these episodes?
Oh, it was something like £15 for everything.
For the whole lot?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad. Not bad at all.
Or it might be $15. It's well worth it. It's way, 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 way more value for money than the order.
Yeah, definitely, by the sounds of it, yeah.
Wow. I'm actually saying the episodic content thing is way better value than the AAA game.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Depends what you charge for it all. Depends how good it is.
And there's plenty of replay in there, and you're going to want to replay it because you're going to want to know.
I think this particular quirky format, the sort of rewinding time branching dialogue type option, I mean, yes, sometimes that's quite superficial, but it sounds like it's quite significant in this, and that facilitates more than just your sort of red playthrough, blue playthrough, the Paragon Renegade thing. This sounds a lot more nuanced, so I think you'd probably get quite a few goes out of this,
just helping everyone would be an interesting experience.
Well,
whether or not you can help
the mythical
everyone.
golden ending, there's probably walkthroughs and spoilers and things out there to try and maximise the happiness you can do in your playthrough. But does it give you like an overall score at the end, or?
Well, it tells you how many people made each.
It sort of compares you against other people, but is there an objective? You have done the best. You've completed it correctly.
What is the best? What is correct?
Something like Mass Effect 2, I'm thinking, the golden ending there it's a very specific sequence of playing through where everyone survives and you get everyone off the end.
Yeah,
the end,
but that was so...
It becomes quite pressure building.
Yeah, also that was so... You were basically spending people during the final mission If you didn't send the right people, you were basically spending them as a resource.
Well, no, that was the point. Is you find your walkthrough and you send precisely the right people, and everyone lives, and it's a fantastic ending. But actually getting that's quite tricky. I've never done it. I keep losing half the Normandy crew, and I know what now needed to do that to create the perfect ending. But just sort of plodding through and ticking the boxes on a clipboard seems a bit more mechanical than sort of getting involved in a ripping story.
The Mass Effect one always felt a bit mechanical to me, but this doesn't. This does feel organic, and I know that it doesn't branch anywhere near as much as it probably feels like it does, because these things don't.
Yeah, well, it just goes mad very quickly. Yeah. Geometric progression,
but it does feel like my decisions are having a choice, and even more, it feels that my decisions have a larger choice than they do, and it makes me feel like I'm making more decisions than I actually am, because there is some critical plot line stuff which feels like by that point it does actually feel like you are making the decision to do it rather than just blindly following, because it feels like the right thing to do for that character.
It can be quite pressure inducing when you're playing then. I'm trying to think 10 moves ahead and everything.
Yeah, well, there's a very specific thing involving somebody who is not well, and that is very harrowing, and the choices you make there are very interesting and not something you'd see in a game normally. So, yeah, it's a very...
I don't like being harrowed.
No, I think you'd enjoy it, though. It's showing... storytelling in games properly and what can be done. Yeah. And this is by no means perfect. There is so much more that can be done.
Yeah.
But yeah, again,
is it a format? Is it a genre, do you think? Will we see more of this?
I think it's starting
imitators
to be
or sequels?
Well, it's something that Telltale have been doing with their...
I really should play more Telltale stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but they're all very similar, and I'm fed up with
a lot of them are sort of just tacked on IPs, aren't they?
Well, they all feel so samey. I'm utterly fed up with them and don't play them anymore because
I've never played any.
They don't feel like they're different enough. You should play at least one.
I think the early Sam and Max stuff was quite good, was it?
Yeah, it was okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they're worth it, but they all feel like they're a one-trick pony, they've become a...
It's like Lego sets, a big thing will happen, and then, you're just sitting there watching your watch, waiting for the Telltale adventure game of the big thing, which will inevitably be along in about 8 months' time or 4 months or whatever, yeah. And you think, they can't all have interesting and different stories. There aren't that many interesting and different stories.
And in the end, it always just feels like you're making the odd decision and never really making enough of a difference.
Yeah.
The problem is Telltale have just done it so many times, you can see the machinery moving.
You start to yearn for an entirely different genre, yeah.
Yeah. But I think this has taken that idea and moved it on to the next level, and hopefully Telltale will follow on and other people will take up on this. I mean, hopefully this will never get a sequel.
I think it's just great that there's an adventure games genre now.
I know.
That went away in the great first-person shootering of 2008, didn't it?
2005.
5?
Yeah, it was 5 onwards. Yeah, and this is a point-and-click adventure by any other name. It's just in 3D and works.
Yeah, it doesn't stop being a point-and-click adventure just because it's not side-scrolling with the verbs at the bottom. Yeah.
So I'm really happy with this game, and I can't gush about it enough.
Excellent. So stop gushing now, then. Okay. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Shall we wrap up then?
Yeah, we can wrap up.
I still haven't come up with anything else to talk about. So with that. Do your spiel.
Yes, you can go on.
I said with that, see you next time.
We're professionals.
Professional.
We are. Yes, you can go on to howtomurdertime.com where you can see all of our previous audio episodes, and you can go.
Apparently, there's some videos there as well.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know.
And you can go along to our YouTube channel where you can see all of our videos, and we must put more videos up.
More videos.
I've been recording stuff. I just need to turn them into something.
Yeah,
and convince you to say words over them.
Oh, words! Wow. Okay, I think I can try.
And are we going to record that thing on Wednesday?
That thing on Wednesday. Probably not Wednesday, but someday this week.
Okay.
Yes. The thing. We should do the thing. I think the thing will be awesome.
Oh, your Saturday's moved to Wednesday, isn't it?
I think I've rearranged a lot of stuff because of the real life things going on. Yes.
Yeah, so if we start recording that thing on one day this week.
A day, yes.
Yeah, on a day this week, then probably a week and a bit, there'll be a
thing.
Series.
Hurrah!
Of us playing a computer game.
Watch all the things.
Which isn't Space Engineers.
Yeah, not Space Engineers, no.
Because it's buggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
also if you want if you like this,
still going on.
Then please consider liking and subscribing it, because that means you will get our stuff and you won't have to hunt it down every week.
Right. Now can I say the thing I say?
If you want.
All right. With that, we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.